Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I just read a comment online. It said if something is caused, then it is not free. Free will and determinism. Okay, let's straighten this out a little bit, shall we? People say that this is a thought that goes back to when Newton showed that the movement of the planets was not, for all intents and purposes, completely random, which is what people had thought going back to the Greeks. They thought that they travel in perfect circles, and then there's little teeny tiny randomnesses at the edges of our calculations which will make them forever inaccurate. And that's because this world is imperfect. It's not a perfect world, so how could you ever know exactly what's going on in it? So they just accepted that their idea of perfect circles didn't get the calculations exactly correct, and they didn't think you ever could. So when Newton said, no, actually this is all completely mathematically, minutely predictable, people said, wow, everything in the universe could be predictable. It's probably a thought that started in ancient Greece, but it was with Newton that it really got off the ground, because if the entire universe is like a working clock, how do we know that our own thoughts and minds and decisions aren't caused by other things? And you say, well, I make decisions with my own mind. And people say, yeah, but how do you know it wasn't the closing of a door you heard that sort of made your mind make this decision instead of that decision, stuff like that. So even if you bring in free will, they still have their arguments against it. Well, we need to start by saying, what is a cause? What does it mean for something to cause something else? If you say that it's the cause because it happened first, you're not quite getting it. It has to be the cause that made it happen, without which it would not have happened. And that does not apply to these people who say that all your decisions in your daily life may or may not have been caused by this or that. They allow the word cause to be used in science in this way, that it was the cause of this, one billiard ball hitting the other was the cause of the other one's motion. That is a direct thing where if this cause wouldn't happen, that result wouldn't have happened. But what about the cause of you deciding you're going to jump off a building, or the cause of someone deciding to go buy a new sports car in a midlife crisis? What is the cause of that? And they say, who knows what it is? Butterfly effect, all the things in reality. Who knows what the cause was? But it isn't necessarily your willpower, they say. They say, how do you know it doesn't have a cause? And they are stealing that word. It's called a stolen concept. The word cause has a specific meaning, and they are using it in a fuzzy and absolutely inappropriate way when they talk about your decisions being caused. Okay, so what types of cause are there? Now that we have that on the table, let's say what types of cause there are. There are two causes. There are natural causes, which are things without consciousness being involved, and then there are causes of willpower, which is when consciousness is involved. Now, if you want to split gray hairs, we can talk for 3 hours about where animals fall in there. And a lot of their stuff is deterministic. Some of it is. And you could make a lot of human behavior deterministic. They can put little probes in your brain and stimulate this and that and the other part. But we have to recognize that without Frankenstein-type experiments going on, you are in charge of your willpower. You can choose what to do. And they can talk about what the cause may or may not have been in long strings of little teeny events, the butterfly effect. They can talk about that nonsense, but they're stealing the idea of the word cause when they do. Because cause means a direct correlation between an instance and a result of that instance. And that is what a cause is. And when they come and say that maybe other things have caused your thoughts, maybe it wasn't your willpower, they're not speaking in any way that you need to listen. Until they can come up with a theory that's a little bit better than just stealing words and using them in a sloppy, immature way, then you don't need to listen to these people who say free will doesn't exist. By the way, if free will doesn't exist, what use does it do for them to argue one way or the other? You know, the best line I've heard about free will, someone asked if Chris Richens believed in free will, and he said, yeah, we have no choice. We have no choice. We have to believe in it. That's where I stand. Even if you decide to spend your time sitting at your computer spinning out some silly little theory about how maybe we all don't have free will and typing it on video comment sections, you're choosing to do that, and thereby proving your entire hypothesis ridiculous, and your actions as well. don't listen to these people, and if you have to, try to straighten them out so they don't keep on going around the world babbling and wasting everybody's time.